What's up, everyone? Jeremy Gerard from Mythic Customs here with one of my short customizing tutorial videos. This video kind of comes by request because I posted a custom recently and it had a piece of it that a number of people reached out to me and asked me how to do. So let me show you what I'm talking about. This is the custom I posted. This is my Keeper of the Black Labyrinth kind of undead looking Minotaur. It's very cool looking figure. I really like it. It's a Taurian body from the All-Stars 3 wave that I obviously painted with this whitish gray color, kind of as a tribute to the old Four Horsemen Studios 7th Kingdom Keeper of the Black Labyrinth figure. But I wanted to not just make a grayish white Minotaur. I wanted to kick him up a notch. So I gave him some skeletal, ribs and everything. That's a wonderfully cool piece, sculpted by Walter DeMarco of Mass Customs and printed by Wolf King Customs. I added that, and I also shredded up his loincloth. I gave him this loin piece, and I shredded it up. And that's the piece that people have been asking me about. That look, how did I do that? It's not the first time I've done it, and it's actually something I first saw my friend Zombie13 do on one of his customs. I liked the way it looked so much on his that I used it on one of mine, and now I'm going to share that with you. So let me break it down here. So what I'm talking about specifically is this loin piece and how it's shredded. Let me show you a better picture of a couple examples where I used it. So you can see right here, this is two different customs. On the left, you have that Keeper of the Black Labyrinth Minotaur that we were just looking at. And you can see, if you look down to where his loincloth is, you can see it's kind of shredded. On the right, we actually have the first custom that I used this effect in, and that's my Undead Vampire. That was really part of the All-Stars 3 challenge I did, and it's essentially just a combination of some armor from a Zazar, some bones from a Malleus that I actually put some toothpicks in there to make those vampire fangs, and then it's obviously got the torso and the loin piece from a Baron Valiger. I wanted it to have that shredded look, and that's what I did here. So you can see what I'm talking about specifically in those two pieces, and if I zoom in a little bit, you might be able to see it even better. That's what we're talking about, the way that it's shredded there. Now, in both cases, all that I did, all that I used was a standard Mythic Legions 1.0 style loin piece. This would clearly work with a 2.0 as well, but I just happen to be using a 1.0 because of the bodies that I'm working with. Those obviously end very, very flat at the bottom, like a piece of, the cloth would hang down, as opposed to that really, really shredded look that we're going for. Super, super simple how to do this. All you need is that trusty X-acto blade. So I've done videos before about using X-acto blade to change the look of different Mythic Legions parts, cutting them apart a little bit, changing how some of the armor looks. You can do wonders with this thing, and this is one example. Basically, what you're trying to do here is just create a number of cuts towards the bottom that are very, very hard and jagged. You'll like that ripped. It's a great effect, and it's very, very forgiving because you're trying to create torn cloth. It's not like you have to cut along a specific line. It's even easier than when you're trying to maybe shave down some of the armor and you're trying to cut along a very specific line. In this case, realistically, and normally I would do this on a table and not holding it up against the camera, but really all you're doing is going to be slicing down. One suggestion, if you are using an X-acto blade, it is always beneficial to replace the blade before you're going to do a new project. Blades are fairly inexpensive. Mythic Legions parts are not so. I would rather replace a blade and make sure that I've got the nice sharpness that I need to cut properly the first time versus using a duller blade and I have some troubles and maybe I ruin the Mythic Legions part. That being said, I've certainly ruined enough Mythic Legions parts by cutting them in the past. So really all you're doing here is I'm going to put it in and I'm just slicing down. And I'm just slicing down here. And what that's going to leave you with is kind of a hanging piece that I tend to just pull out, okay? And that's a big chunk that I just removed here. You can definitely do some smaller chunks, and you can get a lot more a lot more control if you're doing it against a table. But realistically, that's all that you are doing. You are just pulling down and slicing, just slicing that piece apart and then pulling them down. One thing I also like to do is on the one that I did, I also did a couple holes like in the middle of it. You can see there's some holes right in the middle parts. That is as simple. Remember, this is very sharp, so take your time with it. That's as simple as putting it in kind of the middle and just slicing down a little bit, but not going all the way so you go off the actual loin itself. So you basically just cut out a little piece right in the middle there, and that gives it that nice little rip type look. I don't like the ends to be so even because I imagine it would be ripped there. So that I can just slice the ends off like that. It's really, really simple to do. Once you get all the cuts you want, once everything is sliced the way that you think it looks good, and this can be as sliced or as not sliced as you want. You can have some fun with this. Again, because it is not meant to be a very precise effect, it's going to look however shredded you want it to look. Once I'm done, that is when I would spray paint. I like to get it with a nice base coat of spray paint. In this particular case, when I did my black labyrinth minotaur, I wanted the loin to be black. This actually started out white. Wanted the loin to be black, so after I cut it, I hit it with a base coat of black spray paint. And then to dirty up the bottom of it, again, if we look here at the one that I did for the minotaur, you can see along the bottom, he's got some dirt along the bottom of his loin. That is some simple dry brushing with a little bit of brown just to get that dirty effect at the bottom of the loin there. It's as simple as that. Very, very easy to do, but very effective. You saw me use it on my skeleton vampire and on my black labyrinth minotaur. This would be great if you do maybe like a skeletal Templar. That's one of the easiest pop and swap customs you can do, where you can just take a Templar figure, take a skeleton figure, whether you've got an extra skeleton Legion builder, whether you've got a Malleus figure. You combine the bones from the skeleton with kind of the armor, the torso part, and like the lower arms and the lower legs, the armor parts, the pauldrons and everything. Combine that with from a Templar figure, and you've got a really nice skeleton Templar. But obviously, the Templars themselves, they have really clean, torsos. The tunic is really clean. So if it was undead and you imagine it just kind of rising from the grave, you'd want to dirty that up a little bit. I did another video about painting zombie figures recently. You'd use a lot of those same type of effects to dirty up that character quite a bit. And another thing you could do for that loin piece is you could shred that up so it looks like it's really been through some wars, like it's really been distressed. Get that nice effect. Super simple to do. Again, this came by request. A couple people asked me how to do it, how I achieve that effect as easy as it is. Whenever people ask me questions like that, I love to shoot a video to help answer them. On that note, if you see any of my work, if you see any of my videos or whatever, and it kind of drums up some questions for you, you want to know more about something, feel free to reach out to me directly and ask, or hit me up in the comments. If you like the video, certainly give it a like, and if you're not subscribed to the channel already, consider doing so to help me out. Until next time, I can't wait to see what you make.